What's going on, everybody? Bobby Fire, Sheet Saber. We're going to be talking through this Monday slate. I think it's kind of an interesting slate, actually. The more I dug into it after we recorded earlier, and I thought of a few different things. I'm not playing much. I'm just playing a few lineups, but I certainly think there's a lot of different ways to go. And I was looking at some of the other tools and stuff on SaberSim. I want to get your thoughts on everything, but I was just like just chances of quality start. I noticed that it was lower today for basically everybody. I mean, you've got Chris Sale at 40% that they've got him at. And that's the highest by far. But it's just interesting. Maybe it's not as clear of a pitching slate as I initially thought was my thoughts. And then also, I think that there's arguments for maybe a couple more stacks that I didn't think of earlier. So how about you?
I think from a projection perspective, I think it's the same. I have those four pitchers like well ahead of everybody else as far as projections go. And I was going to attack this a little differently. What I was going to say is the same thing that I sort of said yesterday, that I can certainly tell you what the best plays are. But depending on what tournament you're going to play, I can't exactly tell you who to play. But the best plays. I'm seeing Sale, Snell, Gill, and Fat. You know what I mean? It's still in the top four, like in that order. And then with the hitting, I'm still seeing the Yankees, Arizona, Toronto, Texas, as the top stacks. And then, White Sox, Angels, if you want to do whatever. But, if you're going to play the stuff that I'm playing now, you just have to like get different either manually or having the tools kind of help you do that. So that's part of why I like SaberSim or forget SaberSim, like tools like it that can take your biases kind of out of this a little, because I can tell you that Sale, Snell, Gill, and Fat are a little bit better than Peralta, Lopez, and Kershaw, for example. The question is how much better, right? And how much better relative to how much people are going to play them, and that's just a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to quantify yourself, and that's why I kind of like the sim to kind of push me to think differently. Like, for example, I'll just tell you, I'm going to rerun these, but like the last sim I built and I ran in my big buy-in, I'm getting the once and future greatest pitcher of all time, Clayton Kershaw, as my guy, paired with the aforementioned Los Angeles Dodgers, which makes sense. And if you ask me, is Kershaw a good play? I'm like, yeah, it's a play. But then I'm even looking at my numbers. I'm like, okay, it rates to be what, the 8th best pitcher, but I see him at 8% ownership. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
What does that mean? What does 8% ownership mean on a guy that's 8th best? I literally don't know the answer. So that's why I kind of have these things kind of help me. Now you can do these by hand. Like if you wanted to, you could play, like, let's say you like Kershaw, forget that. Let's say you like Lopez. Let's say you liked Peralta. Like all three of those guys are going to be lower than the other ones. Well, depending on what stacks you want, if you want to play two of those three, like Peralta, Lopez together, Lopez, Kershaw together, and say screw Sales, Snell, Gill, and Fat, then you can go play whoever the hell you want as far as the hitting goes. But if you're going to play Sale, Snell, Sale, Gill, Sale, Fat, any combination of those four, then I don't think you could play the Yankees or Arizona, or maybe not even Toronto or Texas. I don't know.
It seems like Arizona is a little bit lower owned than I would have thought.
They kind of came down in my rankings too, actually, as far as ownership goes. I agree with that.
Yeah, and I think that that seems like a spot. So for me, I saw that as a spot that I wanted to take advantage of. I'm very happy to take a shot on the low-owned Dodgers.
Good. Okay. I
think that makes perfect sense. I think again, I got more away from, because I think Texas is going to end up being like pretty popular. I really like Toronto. That's I really like them tonight. So I have them in like my biggest buy-in, but I don't have them in anything else. And I personally like the idea of getting different at pitcher. My biggest buy-in is a single entry, so I didn't, I'm okay going with Sale and Gill there. Okay. But I like, in my other ones, I like Lopez, I think, the best as a get different. Like, it's not that different, but it's look, this guy has pitched against this team a number of times. He's had 110 plate appearances, 35 strikeouts. They haven't touched him. They haven't gotten anything off of him. This is a downgrade for them as far as stadiums go. So it's an upgrade for Lopez too. I just think that he's got some more ceiling here than I initially wanted to go after. I also think that Brady Singer, and I will do the thing that we talked about earlier. I'm going to play the Blaylock against Arizona, where I'm not playing Arizona.
That's the next thing I was going to ask you actually about Blaylock. If you thought about that a little more, I'm seeing that it's going to be extremely low owned.
Yeah,
which is I mean, you get a 4K starter. I mean, people play them usually, but again, I guess those other ones. I mean, it's such opportunity costs. If you give up any of those top 3 guys,
right.
That it's tough, and you got to. I mean, listen, you better.
So that's the way I was thinking of it. Is that so? Like usually, like if you're gonna look, these guys are not the cheap guys with upside is what you really want. I don't really know how much upside he has, but I do think that there is a chance that these guys all put up 25, let's say even, and that's a high number. And his 15 might be good enough that allows you to get Ohtani, Judge, and Soto in there. You know what I mean?
Oh, so this is okay. So now I know why I'm getting these Dodgers. I didn't realize that the aforementioned Mookie Betts is playing.
Yeah, Betts is back in.
Oh well, there you have it. I mean, this is now a thing. You know what I mean? Like this is
right. So I think that's the Kershaw's the other upside pitcher, not just because Betts is back. The Dodgers now only have a 3.5 game lead over both Arizona and San Diego. This is kind of like they need to win time. Not to mention they're playing a team that they are. Let me just double check exactly that I'm right. That they're basically have a 1.5 game lead on for the best record in the NL. That they're all cut up there with the Phillies. So they're trying to get the best record. They want to have home field advantage throughout the playoffs. This matters to them. They're playing a good team. But if Kershaw has it going, I could see him going well above the 83 pitches he's projected for.
One thing I will tell you, though, these freaking Brewers have been killing the ball.
I know, and I think that the Brewers, you could argue for the Brewers on the other side. There's a lot to like here today, I think, stacks-wise. And yeah.
I mean, you were the first guy to talk up that Adames when he was back on Tampa. I mean, that guy's murdering the ball. Yeah,
he's really good. He's become like really, really good. And Contreras is like basically like one of the best. For some reason we talk about Salvador Perez, maybe because he's done it for more years, but
right.
Contreras is just a monster.
There's some power he can catch it. Real Mutos can still hit it, I guess, and then.
Yeah,
and the Seattle guy, and not to mention the Baltimore guy, right? I mean, like
and I guess the long and short of why I think it matters only is that it's a big game. It has a big game energy with Mookie coming back. Freddie just came back. His kid's doing better. Finally went home. So a whole thing like around LA. They're playing a rival team that we've been in the playoffs with them in 3 out of the last 5 years. I think like 6 or 7 out of the last 10. Maybe it's not quite that much, but I think that there's an argument for maybe seeing if he's going well. That means that he has to pitch well first. But if he's going well, I think there's more upside on that 83 pitches.
I mean, he's 7,700 for God's sake. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and if he's going well, he could put up. He could be as high a scoring as the other guys easily.
And I think I do like Sale more than the other ones. I think. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Now I'm between him and Gill. I don't know. If I had to guess, I don't know where I would go.
I have the same with both. Well, I think I personally like Gill a little bit better, but
the White Sox are such trash. I mean, like,
yeah, and San Francisco, they're weird. They strike out a ton against lefties, but they also hit okay against lefties. So, yeah, but it's 50-degree weather. I mean, give me that. That's Chris Sale, 50-some degree weather against a team with the best player's name is Helio Ramos. Like, I know he's fine. He's a good player, but like, I don't know. It just seems like a good like. I thought he would end up like 70-80% owned. I really did. And now I realize that I'm wrong. But
Gavin Lux is hitting 5th at 3,100.
Yeah. And then you've got, if you want cheap spots, the Kike is 2,500 at third. Kike, by the way, has been pretty hot. I mean, for Kike standards.
Yeah.
You've got,
From a planning perspective, everybody, there's a 7-10 game, then there's a 7-40, and then like those 2 8-10s, and then you get a little bit of a break. So
Yeah.
There's an hour and a half between the first bunch and the last bunch, so there's plenty of time to plan your late swap and plenty of places to late swap. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to be doing that.
I love that you're in on this late swap thing now, Sheets. Remember, I told you for years I was like, you were asking me, you would say like, what's your edge in this thing? And it's so often it was late swap, you know?
Well, I mean, because now it's easy for me to do it. Now there's like an automated tool that can do it. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I couldn't do it. I mean, like, whatever. I wasn't good enough. I didn't have the time to do it. Now you can do it so quickly. But I think that the game changer, again, from my analysis, is with the Saber Sim, it actually factors in, like, mathematically what the other people have scored already, and what they've been owned. So that's just huge. You know,
it also speaks to the point where if you're doing it on your scale, because I haven't really done it on your scale. I haven't done it with like 150. I do it for football every week. I do, but for baseball, I've never done it. But don't you think it speaks to maybe that, like, in general, if you have plays that are equal, wouldn't you want to play them in the later games for the most part?
Yeah. So we talk about this a lot, right? So yeah, all else being equal, you should really, you should err on the side of being late to maintain as much flexibility as possible. And I screw around with this in basketball even this year, where to the point where I would give everybody in the late game an extra like half a point projection, so that or the whole game, or even better, give the whole game, like the whole team total, an extra point, so it would like filter down to all the players, so that I would force myself to play more of the later games.
Yeah, I really like that, and I think we'll get into it for NBA season and NFL too, because I think that NFL, that's one of the most important things. I think NBA, it's incredibly important, especially because most of the high-scoring teams are on the West Coast in general. Not all of them, but most of them. But it's really, you do figure it out when you start doing it that, oh, wow, I really do have an edge here.
Okay, so wait. So the Atlanta lineup just came out, and there's a couple of guys. So Kellenic is out.
Yep.
And it looks like Darno is out. Okay. So we're going to have to fix that. And I'll do it. So who's in? So Murphy is in.
Laureano
is in. Yeah, Laureano is in. So who's out? Darno, right? Let's see. Wait a minute. So I have him in lineups. Why is it notifying me of that? I have him with 0. I don't know what so maybe I'll just run this again. So, yes, I am going to run this again. And as a matter of fact, may as well show you guys how to do this again.
You should put your thing. Yeah.
I'm going to get my screen up this side. And you know what's cool is that the fact that I'm not really checking to see who I have, it works twofold. Number one, it keeps DraftKings from getting mad at me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't want to know anyway. So it's all good. All right. So let me upload the projections. Then I got to go straight to the Atlanta game, and I want to fix that one because I want to make sure that I don't have. Okay, so this is all good. So I don't have any Darno in this game. I think all the lineups. No, the Milwaukee lineup's still not in. That's a little annoying.
It just came out.
It did?
Turang, Churio, Mitchell, Contreras, Adames, Sanchez, Hoskins, Frelick, Ortiz.
Well, so Ortiz is in?
Sanchez is in, who was not supposed to be in.
Sanchez I did have in, actually.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
I had Sanchez
in. I put him in. Yeah, but he was projected about 3rd. He's batting 6th.
Yeah, I think I have all the right guys in. Monasterio, he's in?
Monasterio's not in.
He's not in.
Yeah. Frelick, or I guess who else would you call it? Pretty wild because Mitchell's now batting 3rd.
So Mitchell
weird
is in. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm missing a player. Who am I missing? Oh, there's the aforementioned Nick Myers.
No, you have Reese in there.
Who am I missing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
You have Perkins instead of Frelick, maybe.
Frelick? Perkins, so he's not in.
Yeah.
Nor is Frelick, but Frelick is in?
Well, Frelick is in.
Well, hold on. So who?
Should update soon.
Well, let me just see something. So Frelick. Oh, so Saberson didn't have him in. Frelick. Okay, so yes, I'm gonna do this. I gotta do this again. But that's so unfortunately it's gonna get in my way of my building here. But I mean I guess that's I can't do anything until the Milwaukee lineup comes out.
On there. Yeah, let's see. It's refresh again. I'm trying to figure out the time difference. It's like usually 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah, okay. We'll wait on that.
Yeah.
But again, some of the settings that I've been using is I've been using, for example, when I do my initial 5,000, if I'm going to play the 150 max, I'm going to set this not to 20 max. I am going to set it to 150 max just to get me those types of lineups.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so with everything you do, you give something up. So what I've been, if you want to play this really correctly, what you're supposed to do is for each type of tournament, do a completely separate build with its completely different types of settings. Okay, if that's really what you want to really use this thing properly. But I find that since I don't have time to actually do that, I think that the 5,000 lineups with the 150 max settings, I think that somewhere in there are going to be all the lineups I need. Now, again, the bigger the slate, the less true that is. If there's 15 game slate, then even 5,000 lineups might not be enough to get everything that you want to choose from, especially when you're picking from different types of contest sizes. But that's what we're going to start with. So you start with building the 5,000, and just for funsies, I'll show you what we'd be getting. I mean, I'd be getting Yankees, Toronto, Dodgers. This Dodgers might end up being popular, dude. I mean, like they're showing up on all these and every one of these builds now. But we'll see. How can any be that popular against Peralta, though?
I'll tell you what's going to happen is that Bradley Blaylock is going to be like 20% owned.
You think so?
I don't know if it'll be 20, but I think maybe because there's such exceptional high ceiling guys at the top, maybe not. But I actually think this is like, I don't know. It seems like a spot where people should take shots on it, and I don't know why you wouldn't, except for the fact that you do have really good top end stuff. And I'd say, what are you paying for? But I can answer the question at the same time. You're paying basically for Soto, Ohtani, or Betts, and Judge, and getting some mix of those Devers and Duran, something like that. Even the Texas guys.
And then you run this. Then you run the Sims. I already saved. I think here are my changes that I'm making. Okay, so I instead of using the default setting for Mega 8s is actually high stakes 20 max, but I'm using the high stakes MME instead. And I think everything else I'm using the same. So I ran the Sims, and then what I'm going to do is the same technique that Saberson taught me using these aggregate metrics things. So hold on. So now it looks as though Saberson's yelling at me a little bit. So save these settings. Okay. Let's see. Stack exposure. I am going to, as usual. I mean, I'm gonna X out the non-traditional stacks, and this will be the constant holy war between. It's really between nobody. It's between me and myself, really.
It's everybody in the industry has different takes, and they're always changing. But I like.
And I'm one of them, and they change it for me too. So here's that little trick. You do this create aggregate metrics thing. So you put average projection here, and all this does is keep you honest. So we save this, and then again at the top it says what your average score of these 150 are. The average score is 150. So then when you make changes, you can just keep an eye on this and make sure that it's not like taking a nosedive because of all your changes. So what I'll do is I'll go say for the 150, I'd like to do as many min uniques as I can. So we keep on increasing the min uniques until this average projection drops by some number that I'm going to make up, probably like 1 point, I guess. And so far, so good. So far, it's not really reacting too much. And then, okay, this will drop the point. So we don't like that it went all the way to min uniques 5. So we're going to rely on min uniques 4. And that's what we're going to do for the knuckleball. And we're just going to literally put it in. And what other changes have I done since I spoke to these guys? So for like the main, I mean, like the mega eights and stuff like that. Again, we'll just take the top. What I like to do is I'll take I'll make sure to not play the mega eights and ball four be the same lineup. That's one thing I'll do. And in the single entry, see these? I might not play this, but you're getting me Blaylock right in the top lineup.
Right.
You know, like you said. And if I'm getting them, then other people are getting them. That's the way it's got to be. And then we'll do this, and we'll go batter's eye. And again, I have to do this all over again once this Milwaukee lineup comes out. But just to show you guys what we do here, what I do. And then for the batter's eye, since it's more MME, I'll go like back to Min Uniques 3, and then we'll save these, and then.
Do you think sometimes that there's also you could argue that there's some sort of advantage, like if you take the 20 max, the $4, like, and whatever, or you know what I mean, the 20 max versus the 150. You did that when you were doing a build before a while ago. And do you think sometimes there's an advantage just in the sense of getting different because you're going to be getting different stuff? I mean, you're going to get different stuff anyway, but is that maybe reaching?
Well, I mean, again, when you think about the default setting is the 20 max setting,
right?
So I think that by its nature, that's what most people are going to do is whatever the default is. I think.
Okay. You think even if they're playing 150, they wouldn't?
I think so. I really do. I think that people change less. But then I don't know. You know, it's funny when I did my review with these guys, he was like really like I don't want to say shocked, but he was like, "Wow, this is like a high stakes player. He relies on our stuff a lot. Like he's pretty hands off. He doesn't make a lot of changes. He doesn't." Describing me, he doesn't do a lot of groups, he doesn't do whatever, and the impact of that was I guess a lot of people do. I mean, a lot of people, I don't want to say don't trust it in a negative way, but a lot of people like to make their own rules on top of these rules, you know. So
right.
I mean, it's funny, like I remember when Adam Perry was more active over here. Remember the Adam Perry, and he was like all concerned. He's like, "Oh my God, you're using Saber Sim. Isn't everybody gonna start using it and do the same thing?" I mean, you'd be surprised, man. You make one little tiny change, and like no two people do the same thing, you know. And it's not only that, but there's like a randomness to this too, you know. If two people give the exact same settings, you won't give the exact same lineups,
right?
Because each thing is set to have a certain amount of randomness. So,
and not enough people are using your projection. So, guys, sign up. Sorry, that's my wonderful advertising for the day. Sorry, just kidding.
So we do the same thing with FanDuel, and then we'll run again. I don't know why I don't even know if the squeeze even exists. I'm kind of into playing this $3 thing every day though.
Oh, the one on FanDuel.
Yeah, I mean it's only 10,000 for first, but whatever. I mean, like,
didn't you do well in it recently?
I don't think that one. The squeeze, I actually did well.
Yeah.
But it's hard to beat 10 million people. You know, it's like regardless of what the buy-in is. It's like
right. I feel you.
So for those of you that saw, do you see this Matt Kuchar's thing that happened yesterday? That was kind of bizarre. No.
Did he? What happened? I just read that.
Yeah. So he was on his last hole, which was
chose not to play that.
Which was hole 10, and it was getting dark, and he was like in the rough, and they asked him. They said it's technically sunset. You could quit if you want, or you could play it out. And he said, "Well, I'll wait till tomorrow." And so he picked up his ball or whatever. He didn't even pick up, you know, and everybody had to come back today to watch him play the last hole.
Yeah, I heard that. So that's sort of what I figured. But why did he? That
right.
is a weird
so take it at its face value. They're like, "Oh my God, what a dick!" You know what I mean? Like, what are you, right. What are you doing? And he took a lot of heat. But I don't know. I read his explanation for it, and it doesn't sound that bad, honestly. I mean, he was saying that
he didn't have a chance to move up, right?
No, it wasn't even that. I mean, I think it was like, maybe, but that too. But he was like, "Listen, I've been in both positions. I know it sucks, to have to be that last one or whatever. And I've gotten pissed that people didn't whatever. But it was something to do with the fact that he thought that he didn't realize that that Rye had made birdie or something, and he thought that the Geiserman was like still like in play. You know what I mean? He thought that Geiserman was going to have that decision himself in a really, really tough spot to win.
Right.
So just so since Kuchar was indifferent about it, he figured he would just make it easier on him and just say, okay, I'm gonna quit, so that Geisman would quit too, or something like that. He wouldn't feel so bad about it, or something like that.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Geisman, I think, it already hit, or something like that. I mean, it's so funny. Like it's everybody has their biases, or whatever. When I like look at Kuchar, I just think, my man, what a sweet guy. Well, he wouldn't be like whatever. Then you hear all these stories how he like stiffed his caddy, like another tournament, like all this stuff is coming out on him and stuff like that. God. So maybe he is not the greatest. I don't know. I don't know. But that's
like he's always a liked guy.
Yeah, that's what happened. And again, like, find it difficult to believe he was doing it on purpose to be like a dick. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I don't actually know. But it seemed reasonable. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I can deal with all this Jared Duran bullshit today too.
What's that?
Oh, you didn't see what happened?
No, dude. I've been like.
Oh, dude, it's like a disaster.
Oh no.
Yeah. So I'll tell the story in full gear. So somebody was heckling him from the stands. They were saying, "Oh, you need a tennis racket. This. And he turned to me and says, "Shut up, you fucking faggot," is what he said to him. Okay. Yeah. Can't do that. Okay. You can't do that. And you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't even if you are a moron. Okay. You have everybody knows that everybody's listening to freaking everything, you know?
Right.
And they caught him on mic, and then, you know what happens. Within 12 hours, Red Sox are initiating an apology. He's apologizing like he should, and they suspended him for 2 games. And of course, it's become a freaking holy war. It's like so that's that. It was like, they should suspend everybody if they're going to suspend them. It's okay. It's different. It's different. Don't be an idiot. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And the thing is, these guys have freaking. I mean, I don't want to get in a soapbox, but these guys they pay like millions of dollars for media training of these freaking people. Okay, like they should know, for Christ's sake. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, forget the fact that he shouldn't say that anyway. Okay. You just can't really complain. If you get suspended for something like that, I think. Anyway.
Yeah.
But of course, it's become a thing. All right, so we'll do the same thing for FanDuel. We'll put these up, but all this is, again, I'm showing my process, but unfortunately today, I mean, it's the same things. Nobody knows who I'm playing anyway, but I do have to do something different with this Milwaukee lineup, I think, especially if I'm really if it's not out, I'm considering playing Kershaw. I mean, it's kind of not genuine to build anything without knowing who you're playing him against.
We don't know the Toronto lineup yet, and still not the Rockies.
Maybe who knows? Maybe Robin Yount's going to be playing or something like that.
All right. Does it ever hiccup on you, and what happens if so? Like if it's right before, like it happens. I imagine in NBA a lot more than in MLB.
What's the question?
Like right before you need to mass swap.
Oh yeah. Oh, are you kidding?
Yeah.
I mean, that's all the time. We in the video I did for what's his name, the full hour thing. That's exactly what happened. I was late swapping in the games, and the next sets of games started at 8:10, and I started the late swap at like 8:02, and I was like blah 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 la-di-da whatever, and I got through my DraftKings, and I'm like, ooh, it's like 8:07. Do I have time to do the FanDuel? I'm like, I honestly don't know. So I tried. I kept on switching, and then I tried to launch, and like only half of them took. So, okay. I mean, like some of them took, some of them didn't, and then so it moved on, so that's how often do they update for Saber Sim? Okay.
It's usually about within 5 minutes of every lineup thing. That's why I just did it for baseball with the starting lineup. That's what I see.
Yeah. Oh, dude, this was very funny. So Phil is here. Yeah. So we were doing the NASCAR thing yesterday, and listen, I love the NASCAR thing because this is where I really just like shut up and let like Brandon talk about like everything. But I try to make myself useful and talk about just regular DFS type stuff. You know what I mean? As it applies to NASCAR. And I was like doing my sims or whatever. And there was this one guy that was showing up in my biggest buy-in. And I said to him, I got an idea. This Austin Dillon guy, does he have like a chance or something like that? And basically, like everybody's like, he hasn't made optimal. He hasn't hit value since like the Eisenhower administration. Like
terrible, whatever it is. And then it just became like this weird thing, you know. And Phila came in and he was like, whatever. He says, dude, friends don't let friends play Austin Dillon. I'm like, okay, you know, fair enough, you know, whatever. I'll probably just go to some other cheapo, whatever it is. So then I got, so I swapped to somebody else. And then the Ace Stukus, who's probably one of the top NASCAR DFS players. He's in our Discord as well. He like pinged me like in the middle of the day yesterday. He's like, "Are you sure about this Austin Dillon ownership? You have him at 22%, and I can't think of any reason to be more than 2%." I'm like, I guess it doesn't make any sense. I don't know. I mean, so he actually came up at like 12% owned or something like that, and he ended up freaking winning the race. And like, like the whole race is like one of the cheapest guys on the slate. Ended up like winning all the money. I didn't play him.
That's so crazy. Yeah,
it was pretty funny. And then it turns out he like wrecked like two guys, and there's this whole controversy of whether they should take the win away or something like that. Anyway, that was definitely a lot of fun.
That is really funny.
Okay, so it's all showing up now. You're saying?
Mikey's saying this. He's saying that the Dodgers lineup. He says it's showing up. I just told him to reset his thing because everything's showing up for me.
Ooh, Milwaukee's good. Oh, everybody's in now. Oh, I like it. Okay, so do I have time to do this? I got to do a whole another build here. Actually, you know what? We could cheat a little bit. So we'll upload this. You know what? Let me go. This way I can actually update the projections.
Okay.
And then I will change them on the site and